All right, guys, take a look at this here. So West Virginia State Senator Eric Tarr is going to explain why he voted no on this new anti-abortion bill. And, the reason's very simple. He thinks it's too lenient. This ban on abortion is far too lenient. He would like it to go a hell of a lot further. So let's hear him in his own words here, and then you'll understand a certain mindset of a certain percentage of the population, namely the super fundamentalist Christian bloc in the country. Let's listen.
This bill will pass. It'll save lives, but it does it at the sacrifice of others. And, I've heard arguments if you got a burning building and you can save almost all the children, but not all of them, would you do it? I'd burn the building. West Virginians for Life, they're going to score this vote, and when they score it, when I vote no on this bill, they'll score that vote no as a vote against life. They've got it wrong. West Virginians for Life is stopping at 8 and 14 weeks. I'm astounded that we have to have this debate. So I thank God for the children that are going to be saved for this. I pray to God for forgiveness for the ones we don't, when we could have. This bill will pass. It'll save lives, but it does it at the sacrifice.
So apparently the bill is for 8 weeks or 14 weeks, like bans it after that. He's saying no, he wants a full abortion ban, and he wants like no exceptions even for rape and incest. Maybe even life of the mother too, because I don't know if you guys are following this, but one of the things we've seen in the red states since Roe v. Wade has been overturned is they say, hey, we have an exception if the life of the mother is threatened, but then they mean she literally has to be dying on the table. So even if hey, in 3 months, this is going to be deadly for her, doesn't matter. You have to carry it out. They're going to force you to carry it. So he wants a full abortion ban. He's saying, I'm voting against this because it is too lenient. I need a more extreme bill. This is amazing. So you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the Obama era when the Tea Party wanted to cut a deal to basically destroy Social Security and Medicare. And Boehner and Obama worked out what was called the grand bargain, which was Boehner agreed we'll raise taxes on the wealthy. I think the line was maybe $400,000 and up or $250,000 and up, something like that. And so he's willing to put revenue on the table in return for some entitlement cuts. And Obama put the entitlement cuts on the table. He said, sure, let's do some reforming of Social Security and Medicare, and I will sell it to the country as this is necessary for the future of these programs. It was a lie, by the way. But Obama was willing to do that. Why? Because Obama himself is a neoliberal corporate Democrat, and he's a triangulator. He wants to make deals with the right. But what happened is Eric Cantor and the Tea Party came in, and they said to John Boehner, hell no, take your deal, shove it up your ass. Why? Because they wanted way more cuts in Social Security and Medicare. The budget Paul Ryan put forth basically got rid of all social safety net spending and just left defense in place. That's it. So stop and think about that. It was the extremism of the Tea Party that inadvertently saved us from cuts to Social Security and Medicare. And this guy is kind of doing the same thing. So he's going to vote with the Democrats against this abortion ban because he's like, it's not extreme enough. It doesn't go far enough. It's a wild thing to watch, dog. It really is. It's a wild thing to watch. And he's triggered that this is going to count as him voting in the pro-choice direction. He wants it to be reflected as, no, I'm even more pro-life than you are. Which, look, to be fair, I know he would vote for a bill that was even stricter. But if this is what's on the table now, and you are pro-life, it's kind of amazing that he doesn't understand, like, the practical reality of politics. It's just like, it's sort of like the Obamacare debate, too, where Bernie Sanders did everything he could to get a single-payer Medicare for all system. And he fought tooth and nail to try to get Obama to do the public option in 2009. And then ultimately, when it came down to it, and on the day of the vote where all they got was Obamacare, right, what did Bernie do? He voted for it because he's like, okay, look, I hate it. I did everything I could to get us Medicare for all, at the very least a public option. But what I'm going to do is vote for it because at least we're going to give tens of millions of people health care. Even though it keeps the system intact and it still rewards the for-profit health insurance companies. I hate all that, but at the very least, I'm going to give people more health care if it comes down to it's either that or Dickie McGee's axe. And that's the right thing to do. This guy, from his perspective, being pro-life, you would think he'd be smart enough to understand, well, I guess this ban is better than nothing, but no. He wants, it would make the law stricter, right? He says, not enough. I want to go further. Look, this is the mindset that we're dealing with, guys. I just want you to understand that, because we've seen the horror stories now from around the country after the overturning of Roe versus Wade. We've seen a 10-year-old rape victim be denied an abortion. I really need you to stop and think about that. A 10-year-old rape victim. And by the way, the right came out and denied that story was real. They called it fake news. And then we learned a week later that not only was it real, we arrested the guy who committed the rape. What about the woman in Louisiana who had a fetus with what's called a crania, I believe, which is the baby doesn't have a skull? They said, best case scenario, the baby lives like an hour once they get out of you. But that it leaves devastating damage to their head and their brain during the process of giving birth. They can't live. But they said this isn't on the list of the things that are an exception, so you're going to have to carry this baby to term. And she had to flee to like Florida to get an abortion, and she couldn't even afford it. They needed to like do a GoFundMe or something for her. These are the nightmare stories we're talking about. You know, another one with a woman whose life was going to be in danger if she gave birth, but they said, you're not literally dying on the table. We can't do an abortion for you. She had to drive like 10 hours or something to try to get one. These are nightmares. And this guy looks at that and he goes, I want that. I want it to be as extreme as possible. I want it to be no exceptions whatsoever. I want it to be gametes and zygotes equal a fully grown adult human being in my eyes. Oh boy. It's wild, dog. It's wild. But you know what? They're ripping the mask off, and this, without a doubt, helps Democrats all around the country. It does. There's no doubt about it. Because they keep reminding the public how much they don't agree with the public. I mean, polls on the complete pro-life position, right? I've seen it anywhere from like 7% to 19%. I think the Pew one was like 13, or Gallup was like 13%. That's the number of people who have this guy's position. And he's leaning into it. And he's totally uncompromising on that front. All you could say is, I guess, props for consistency, but consistency in service of wrongness is not so great. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.